Now I'm very excited to bring back one of the most respected and experienced handicappers in the country, and Mr. Tony George from DocSports.com. You can follow Tony on X at TGeorgeSports. Tony, it's Christmas for us college basketball fans. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, and it's T. George Capper, as you can see there. My Twitter account got hacked with 11,000 followers, and I never could get it back, so I had to start a new Twitter account. So those of you looking for me on Twitter, it's at T. George Capper. And yes, it is Christmas time, and I always manage opening the gifts and the expectations, as everybody watching this should. Tricky tournament this year. We're on a roll. We're entering we with 16-6 in the conference tournaments. Hit a big 7-unit play and was up $3,160 to the good. Kicked off this week with 2-1 last night. Got a top play here on Wednesday over at the website. I'm at DocSports.com, so I'm fired up about Thursday and Friday, obviously, but keeping my eye on that NIT tournament as well. There's a lot of opportunity there. Damn good NIT tournament this year, Kiev.
It's fun. I already faded Yale yesterday. Obviously, terrible spot for them, thinking they're making the tournament and then blow it at the end. Should have fouled up 3. And that is a sell spot for any of you guys new to this. Yeah. The next game they play, they expected to be in the NCAA tournament. They are the top team in the Ivy League. That they did not want to be in the NIT, and you can just know that is a massive sell spot in the future. Also, Liberty coming through last night was a situation where you're selling the opponent there that thought they were going to make it in Mason. So that's just going to happen. I mean, it is Christmas here. I'm super pumped. And going back to your hack, what the hell, Twitter? Every day I'm getting a D, and thank God I was smart enough a long time ago to understand how these pricks do it. But I need a quick favor. Vote for me. Click on this link, and then you'll log in with your. I'm getting them every day from people. So people are hacking. Come on, Elon Musk, get your head out of your head. This is simple shit to stop. Stop this stuff right now.
Well, Grok, or the artificial intelligence, has replaced any customer service. There's no way to get a hold of anybody. Your complaint is in queue, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, holy shit. And, and then the guy started saying, I made $1 million in crypto. It looked like it was me. It was a bunch of stuff he was promoting up there. And then other people were sending me text messages saying, hey man, you want me to vote for you for some podcast host deal? Don't. And some guy who's very prominent in the Twitter world, in the sports betting world, had sent me that message. It looked legitimate. The minute you click on it and put at T George Sports and your email, not only is your Twitter hacked, your email is hacked and all your passwords have changed. So it's just a pain in the ass, and Twitter's no help. X, whatever.
It's no help, my friend. And I have seen people get it back, but hopefully they get their heads out of their ass, being that this is the most biggest platform for quick information that's being traded. So let's talk some NCAA. Nebraska, my friend, they're dancing. And I have to ask you a question that I never thought I'd have to ask. Will Nebraska ever win an NCAA tournament game? Shit, it feels like I'm talking to somebody from Niagara College or something asking a question like this. Oh, my God.
Well, they performed well last year in the Crown tournament in Vegas and won it all, and they really carried that momentum over. They got this Sanford kid from Iowa in the portal, which has been an absolute godsend to them. Mast is unbelievable. Hoiberg's son is also a good ball player. Lawrence, a good ball player. They're about 9 guys deep, including their starting 5. They rotate players in. They got a fantastic freshman out of Lincoln, actually, that was recruited heavily by some ACC teams and Big Ten teams, managed to keep him home. And, Fred Hoiberg's a good ball coach. Just it hasn't panned out. I think they get the win over Troy. Would I lay 13.5? No. We're going to talk about a better bet in that game here in a minute.
Right.
But I think they get a win. I'm not going to lay 13 with them. They struggled down the stretch a little bit. They had Michigan on the ropes at Michigan, -2 starters, led that entire game till the final minute. And they also had 2 heavy rotation players that didn't play. The flu bug ran through the team on the way to the game, but they've beaten some really good teams this year. I've been up to 3 or 4 games. I went up to the Iowa game, the last game of the season. I went up to the Michigan State game. They took care of business against your Badgers, but beating teams like Wisconsin and Michigan State and Illinois and some of the others they beat. I mean, they deserve to be here. They're the number 1 defensive team in the efficiency-wise in the Big Ten Conference. That's saying something. And they're top 10 in defensive efficiencies in college basketball. And they had the longest win streak till they finally lost one this year in Division I basketball. So I do think they get a win. After that, I don't know where they go, Kiev.
Hey, I'm with you. I think they get a win against Troy. For a long time, this was the hottest team in basketball to bet on. And yes, they hit their lull stretch. The question is, can they get hot again? Because they just need to get that same confidence that they had all through November, December, and most of January. It was that really close loss to Michigan where they give Michigan fits, where what turned the tide on them. And their schedule certainly got harder, but beating Michigan State and Illinois and Wisconsin early in the season was massively huge for them. Let's talk about the committee real quick. I know we've been talking about the committee a ton. I got a bunch of people calling.
You have, I haven't.
Well, what do you think? Do you think they did an adequate job? The consensus seems to be they've done fine. So I don't know.
I think they did. And here's the thing. Just as one conference as an example, and I don't get into a lot of white noise. I just want to know who the hell's playing and what the spread is. I don't really care who they pick because that's my job. But at Days Inn, with this nil money involved in college athletics, both football and basketball, you're not going to see any more Fairleigh Dickinsons. It's just not going to happen. There's too much talent disparity between big school, Power 4 schools and these mid-majors and small conferences. And just take the Missouri Valley. Belmont, one of the best teams in basketball this year, number 1 seed. Yeah, they pissed down their leg in the NCAA tournament or in the Mo Valley tournament. But they're talking about a 4-loss team. A number 6 seed in the Mo Valley makes the tournament, and nobody else from that conference makes it. And you see that in a lot of these conferences, these smaller conferences, where the teams that upset everybody and won the tournament, the best team all year long in that conference didn't make the tournament because there's just so much talent-laden conferences in the Power 4 conferences that you're just not going to see these smaller conferences getting the nod on more than two teams coming in. And you start taking a look at strength of schedule and stuff like that. It's all going to go to where it should go in the Power 4 conferences. And I didn't have a problem with any. I was a little surprised Belmont didn't make it in. But other than that,
Belmont had no chance without winning, but they did throw St. Louis in that for a while was hot. I thought they did an adequate job with a shit rule that you're not supposed to factor in the last 10 games more. Well, I can guarantee you Oklahoma's a big favorite over many of these schools, SMU, Texas. They smoked Texas already, right. But Oklahoma, found their groove and they're getting punished for an early preseason when there's a transfer portal. So I think they completely botched the rules. I feel like the West bracket putting Wisconsin against Arkansas in the second round sucks. We want to be on them. And maybe there's too many people that want to be on them too. They're both kind of trendy teams here. I think that Houston should have been put in Duke's bracket. And why reward Houston, for losing? Houston was rewarded and put in the South there because the whole region's in the South in the Elite 8. in the Sweet 16 there. So that's kind of BS. I would like to see that rematch from Duke Houston last year. So they screwed that up. And the West seems a little bit tough, which is kind of BS too. I think Arizona should have been a little bit a better of a draw than getting like a Purdue, Arkansas, Wisconsin, and Gonzaga all sitting there. But otherwise,
St. John's getting a 5 seed, I thought was a little bit of slap in the face. You win the Big East and, you beat UConn by 20 and they give you a 5 seed.
Yeah. There's 2 seeds that are Wisconsin and St. John's should have been 3 or 4 seeds.
Yeah.
Illinois probably should have been the 4 or 5 because of losing to Wisconsin. Yeah. I think that it should have been a little bit more like that, but here we are. Yeah. Lots to talk about. Let's get into our 8-pack of games. And you start with South Florida, Louisville. This spread's coming down a little bit. I see this at 4.5 now. But your total on this thing's a beast at 164.5. What are your thoughts on this South Florida, Louisville matchup? One of the games that I was really interested in watching.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, everybody watching, the unders in the first round the last 3 years have went 63 and 33 against the spread. If you blindly bet unders in every first round game, you're going to hit 65% over the last 3 years. And that's 99 games. So do the math. I think that total's too high. I'll tell you one angle of betting totals. A lot of these teams, they're playing in a place they've never played before. They're playing a team whose style they're totally unfamiliar with for playing conference ball since late December. And it takes them a while. You'll see a lot of half-court sets where coaches are trying to match up their players in the first half against the other team's players to find out where the weaknesses are that they can attack after halftime after they make adjustments. You also see a lot of, in this particular case, first half unders. So that might be a lean in this game. I like South Florida now. They're, as I mentioned earlier in the show, there's not going to be any Fairleigh Dickinsons anymore. You're not going to see a Cinda Frickinrella run into the Final Four. I just don't see it, especially this year. But if there's a team that can get there in terms of maybe the Sweet 16 in South Florida, they are stacked. Isaiah Nelson is a stud. Louisville does not handle things well on the road. They live and die by the 3. South Florida on an 11-0 tear. They've covered 8 of their last 10 games. They had 3 conference losses. I think Louisville's going to struggle against them. I think Louisville was a big disappointment. They were super hyped up this year. I'm going to take the 4.5 in South Florida here to advance.
The line is kind of telling me, well, actually, no. Now I just see it now because I was just out. It looks like Mikel Brown is out, right? So
right.
That I don't know. I'm sorry if you mentioned that. I had to turn off a distraction that was happening to me with a phone giving me static. But
no, Brown's out.
Yeah, and
I did not mention that.
Yeah, that is huge. And he's going to be out the rest of the weeks. He's done. Louisville is done. I think that is a massive injury because he was their best point guard, and you saw how they kind of struggled. South Florida is that kind of team that can really slow them down. I really wish that I jumped on 5.5, but it's at 4.5 now. But here's the thing, boss. I think it's going down to 3.5. I think this
you like them better now. That's going to be real popular. And now you got a lot of play on mainstream media about them, and South Florida's a good team. They've only had 1 loss in regulation the entire year of 2026. 1 loss since January 1st. I'll take I bet them at 5.5, obviously, earlier, Sunday night. They're one I had circled. I wanted to see who they were going to come up against. But in Louisville, just, you never know what you're going to get with. There's a couple of teams in this tournament still to this day. You never know what you're going to get with them. Louisville, Missouri, a couple others that are in the tournament. You're like, which team are we going to be today? So. But South Florida's a good basketball team all around. Nelson's a stud. They're well coached. Just I think they're probably, of all the mid majors, they're probably maybe one of the best teams. I would say St. Louis, but they, pissed down their leg down the stretch. We'll talk about them in a minute too.
All right. Well, South Florida it is for Mr. Tony George here, coming on in strong. And Louisville, they take so many threes, ranking fourth in just 3-point attempts. If South Florida with Hodgson over there should understand that. And he's faced some of those other offenses like a Tulsa and some of those good 3-point shooting offenses in the past, and they have beaten them. So remind that. I think I might join you on that. Let's go into one of mine that I'm picking. We're going to go with Akron versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech -7.5 total, 155.5. This is simple for me. There's no JT Toppin for Texas Tech, and it's going to affect the way they rebound the ball. Now, Akron is also a pretty good 3-point shooting team. Texas Tech's one of the best in the nation, but Akron themselves ranked 14th in the nation, shooting 38.5% from three since losing Toppin. The Red Raiders struggled rebounding against ASU, against TCU, against an injured BYU team. And it's really affected them. I think the spread's too big for the situation here. I also think Texas Tech's a team that plays up to their competition, and I think they played down to their competition. There's a few teams like that you have to watch as favorites. You fade them, and as dogs, you bet on them. That's Texas Tech in a nutshell. I think the Zips could upset them. I like them +7.5.
Couldn't agree more. Agree more. I think Akron's a good basketball team. They were power rated higher than Miami all year long at KenPom. Power rated all year long higher. And I had a futures bet on them to win the MAC tournament. That cashed a nice ticket.
Absolutely. Let's go to the next game. And you picked it, man. Nebraska, they are going to Troy. I'm going to see what the current line is because I have a play in it too, my friend. And I'm curious. I think that it is 137.5 somewhere, right? I think it's still 137.5. Let's see what our friends at FanDuel have. And I just have to get to the right screen. Nebraska is a 12.5 point favorite, 13 and some bucks. 137.5 is the total we have on this one.
Well, I like the under. I like the under 137.5. Nebraska, we mentioned it earlier. They have the number one defense in the Big Ten. I mean, and there's some stout teams in there. Your alma mater's in there. You follow the Big Ten. We text back and forth all the time, but you know what that means. And they're top 10 nationally. Nebraska also has scoring inconsistencies. They go on droughts in games. They just do. They did against Iowa, at Iowa, a game they should have won. They went almost 6 minutes without scoring a bucket. Then they go on a 13-3 run, and then they go another 3 minutes without scoring a bucket. I mean, Nebraska has some inconsistencies on offense. Now, if you take a look at the tempo ratings, the pace of play, out of the 64 teams that are going to be in the tournament, they're still 66 as we speak. They've got some play-ins tonight. Troy ranks in the top 8 in slowest in tempo. They like to slow it down, play a half-court game. I see a low-scoring affair here, which, by the way, brings big points into play, in a lower-scoring game like this. But, Nebraska will be happy to score 70 or less and get out of here with a win.
Nebraska is 69% to the under, 10 for 22.
Yep.
Oklahoma City, not terribly far from you. Do you make it to this game? That's an interesting little draw. I think Nebraska is going to have a home court advantage here too, because I think there's going to be a lot of Nebraska alumni coming to this game. But I love this under, and I gave this under first half and full game out on the show yesterday with Matt Humans. Nebraska does not get to the free throw line. They only rank 350th in free throw attempts to field goal attempts. They don't concentrate on offensive rebounding, ranking 314th. They're just much better on the defensive side of things. Troy shoots the 3 ball, and that's what into Nebraska's power. Nebraska ranks 7th in the country in opponent 3-point advantage. This is under all day. I love this play. and this will be my parlays. I can't believe it's still 137.5. I think that number's
Did
way up.
Did Humans do the Odds Breaker show, or did you do his show on VSiN last night?
We did both.
Okay.
We did a home and home yesterday.
How's Matt? How's our boy Matt doing?
Matt's doing wonderful, and he's
great guy.
He's always got something great for us, and he was in Thailand, so you'll have to ask him a little bit about his trip to Thailand.
I can't ask him what he did in Thailand on the air.
You certainly can. I tried, but it didn't work out. Let's go to the next game. We have and of course this shuts down. Utah State versus Nova. I'm going to get the lines at FanDuel Sports right now for you. Utah State is minus 1.5 total, 146.5. This has kind of been bouncing between 2.5 and 1.5 for a while now. This is simple for me, my friend. This is a long trip for a team traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast. And the Wildcats have been good under Kevin Willard. Don't get me wrong. He's a tournament coach, and he's a huge upgrade under Kyle Neptune. But this is a situation where he's going into with an injury in Matt Hodge, a 6'8" guy with a torn ACL that was a starter for them, and it's going to greatly affect Nova's rebounding. Nova can't shoot free throws, ranking 290th, and they can't get to the free throw line, ranking 277th. The Cats do not defend well as well, ranking 177th in opponent effective field goal range. This is the only team in the Mountain West. I think they're going to kind of hold this as a grudge a little bit in Utah State. I think they're going to come and perform for us. Number 30th ranked Aggies right now since February 1st. They rank actually 28th in efficiency, and they have a solid defense too. I think that they beat Nova by a good amount of points here. I think the spread is way too low. And actually, Utah State is used to going to San Diego because they go there for San Diego State every year. This is a situation where they're used to it. They're going to have more fans than Nova. I think this is San Diego State all the way. I like them minus 1.5. Or something, Utah State. Yep.
I've been worried. This game here, I made a quick trip to Vegas here about a month ago, and I went to the UNLV Utah State game, and UNLV hung 90-some points on them, beat the shit out of them. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, they beat them twice. They had their number.
I know. They had their number. Utah State is an enigma wrapped in a riddle. They're loaded with talent, and they got a deep bench, and they get up and down the floor. They got size. They're well coached, and you think all that. And then I saw them play UNLV, just scared the shit out of me. When I saw them play, I knew San Diego State was coming on. At the end of the season in the Mountain West, this, that, and the other. But this game perplexed me because there's no way I'm taking Nova in that spot. No way. I only can go Utah State or nothing, and you're kind of pushing me over the edge on it now.
All right, my man. Well, let's hit that, and hopefully good things happen for us. So what was the next game that you had?
VCU, North Carolina.
That's right. That's right. Let's look at the numbers here.
A lot of people like VCU in this game.
Plus 2.5 at FanDuel, plus 2.5 total, 152.5.
Way too many points. Under all the way. VCU is a good defensive team. Wilson being out for North Carolina is a huge deal. It's like Toppin being out for Texas Tech. I know they score a lot of points, but North Carolina has not fared well point-wise on the road. A matter of fact, North Carolina's last 10 games are 7-3 to the under. This would be a great first half under. Again, these schools that are out, and I'm not so sure that VCU's all that outmanned. Does North Carolina have a talent edge? A little. This is a good VCU team, and they're going to slow it down and grind it out. I'd play the under 152.5 all day long.
I played the first half under yesterday at 72.5. It's 71.
That's a good one too.
It's 71.5, and I still like it a lot. All the points that you made make complete sense. This is a situation where VCU is better coached. I do not like Hubie Brown, and I've talked about
No, I don't either.
multiple times. And now without Caleb Wilson, this is a weird team. I also think that this North Carolina team actually is a kind of a sneaky under team in general. I hit some unders on them for a while. Will they pick up the pace when needed? Sure. But to be honest with you, I'm going to look at these numbers at North Carolina. I'm pretty sure that they were an unders team this year. Yeah, 13 overs, 19 unders.
Yeah.
They're about 60% to the under this year. And in this venue here, I really think that, like you said, 65% are going to go under on these closing lines. And the question is, maybe it does go back up a little bit. This North Carolina team is a highly bet tournament team. And even though they're in South Carolina, I think that, this is probably too high. I actually like VCU a little bit too.
I do too.
I just think the coach keeps it within 2 points. I think this is going to be a buzzer type game.
Well, you take a look at North Carolina, throw out the 79 they put up against Clemson when they lost in the ACC tournament. Their last 3 games on the road, they scored 58, 66, and 61 points. I'm going to play the under all day long here. That might even be a premium play. I haven't put together my Thursday and Friday cards yet. I just got done putting together the Wednesday card for today. I'm kind of right here, right now. I'll start working after this show, actually, on tomorrow's card, but that may be on there.
My man, let's move on to the next game. And I think it's my turn. Let's go to Cal Baptist against Kansas. This is a 14.5 point Kansas spread. The total is 137.5. This is going to be a fun game in San Diego. It's only 100 miles from Cal Baptist. It's really close. It's kind of funny to see that, but I don't care if they're playing in their freaking backyard. This offense sucks, and Kansas's defense is good. Kansas is an unders team, believe it or not.
Yeah, big time.
I was shocked to see Cal Baptist take out Utah Valley in that slug, ugly game, but that's what they have to do. They can't run. Cal Baptist is going to slow it down. And Kansas ranking 10th in defensive efficiency. Lancers ranking 302nd in offensive efficiency. I don't think the Lancers get to 55 points. I think this is a dead under. And the Jayhawks this year, 66% to the under, 11 for 22. And Cal Baptist, 12 for 21 to the under, 64%. Both of these teams are massive under teams. The Wildcats are terrible away from home in general, ranking 348. I meant the Jayhawks. I don't know why I wrote the Wildcats. I have to change that. The Jayhawks perform very poorly away from home. I like the under a lot, and I think this number is wrong at 137.5. I'm taking under 137.5 for 2 points.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm worried about if they're going to end up playing St. John's the second round, they're going to get their ass kicked.
Yep.
Kansas is not that good. This Peterson guy they keep bragging about, going to be the number 1 draft pick. I saw Kansas play twice in Manhattan or twice in Lawrence this year, and then I saw them play in the Big 12 tournament. They're just not all that. They're not all that. I mean, I went over the BYU game. They beat shit out of BYU that game. Also watched them play Houston over there. But I'm telling you, for the life of me, I cannot figure out how Kansas does not have prolific shooting guards. You're freaking Kansas. It's like Duke, North Carolina, Arizona, UConn. These guys get the pick of the litter. The last good guard they had it's been 10 years. I don't get it. And you just don't know if they're going to be able to score or not. They're inconsistent on offense. Defensively, they're no joke. As you mentioned, they're no joke defensively. But this is an under team all day long. the fact they hung 100 and some on Kansas State in their final home game was shocking. But Kansas State's horrible this year. But I can't get behind Kansas is one and done in this tournament. This will be the one they win. I don't see St. John's getting upset. So at days in here, that's a horrible draw for them.
Agreed. I'm all with you on that. I don't see St. John's losing to Kansas either. I mean, now if Kansas goes far, you might as well rip my freaking brackets up into tiny little pieces.
Yeah.
Next game, Mr. Tony George, he is going to go with, let's see here. What's
St. Louis and Georgia.
Oh, look at that one. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. What you going to do with St. Louis, who limped in at large, was able to sneak in this tournament?
St. Louis peaked too early. St. Louis is the better team in this matchup. Georgia, one team from the SEC that I'd rather flip Auburn and Georgia. Put Auburn in here and leave Georgia out. Georgia had a couple of lucky big wins this year. Didn't do jack crap away from home. I think Josh Schertz is a very good coach. You got Robbie Avila in there, the Kirk Rambis glasses guy. But St. Louis, a really good team. They got wins over. They got big win over Santa Clara, big win over VCU this year. I like them. I've got them -1 in this game on power ratings. I'm going with St. Louis, and they're catching 2.5 right now.
The St. Lunatics, my friends.
Yeah.
I do not like how hot St. Louis has been, how cold they've been, I should say. They've been awful. Like,
I know they have. That's why it's a surprise.
Okay.
But why is it as bad as they suck? They're playing an SEC team and they suck Moose Dick down the stretch, and they're still only 2.5-point underdog, dude. Come on.
That
line tells you everything.
That is a strange line. I will say that.
Yeah.
I've been back and forth.
You see a line like that, you got to bet it.
I feel like the total is so freaking high in this. I just feel like there's a lot of variance. But hey, if you're Robbie Avila, if you're convinced on that, and they play the way they did earlier this season, they should beat Georgia. They were only almost up to 20th on KenPom.
Yeah.
They were like 22nd before they go on that.
They went to Rhode Island. They went to Rhode Island as like a 14-point favorite, got their ass kicked. And then it just spiraled downhill from there. And, of course, Robbie, he got the plantar fasciitis. So him having some extra time off and them losing in the A-10 tournament didn't hurt him any.
Yeah. Well, we're going to find out quick because, this game's on Thursday, and I'm excited to watch it. And I'm sure as hell not betting an under. These teams ranking 4th in average possession length for St. Louis and 9th for Georgia. They might just run. This could be 105 to 103. This is going to be a fun game to watch, dude.
Yeah.
Probably a good live betting game. Just bet the team that's down both times. You're going to get some ups and downs on this one. My final game is going to be Illinois against Penn.
Okay.
And actually, sorry, my final game is going to be Purdue versus Queens. And because I'm trying to stick to Friday, Queens is plus 25.5, total 163.5. This is kind of hard for me. Purdue has been kind of a strange team. I think people are sleeping on them a little bit, but this is a massive number. Isn't this kind of weird? You see High Point being like a 9.5 to 10-point dog to Wisconsin, and then Purdue being a 25.5-point favorite against Queens. Look, man.
Did you mention who was the team you mentioned earlier that said they played at the level of their competition? Well, Purdue does that a lot too. They always have under this coach.
I said Texas Tech does, and I agree with you, and that's why I'm taking the points.
Yeah.
Purdue does not need to win by 26 points.
Hell no.
And they're tired from the Big Ten tournament. They have to rest their guys if they want to last here.
Yeah.
I know Queens has a terrible defense, But this offense can backdoor anybody. And even when you're down by 32 points here, when there's 6 minutes left, bro, Queens can easily come back because they're keeping their starters in until there's a minute left. And they're going to, fight just to cover this spread for you. I like that. Queens burned me last year when I had them 50-1. And of course they win it this year to win, in their conference to get them. Yeah. Me and Will Hill have been complaining about that. But I got to take that. I like Purdue in general. I like the fact that they have good guards and they could be a great sleeper in the tournament, but I'm taking Queens plus 25.5.
Yeah. One thing I'll tell everybody, you hear a lot and Kiev just brought it up, but you hear a lot about guard play, the best guards. Be sure and be looking at your rebounding stats, because when you get to this tournament, rebounding is everything. You could have a team that is a 12.5-point underdog. It looks like a blowout. This is a hypothetical scenario, but you look, and if they have an advantage in rebounding, they're going to cover the spread. Rebounding is everything in this tournament. I'll tell you that right now. South Florida won it last year.
Yeah, South Florida, rebounding is massive. It absolutely is. And that's why I'm so down on teams that can't rebound. I'm scared to bet Vandy. Yeah. That's the only problem with Vandy is that their front court's a little weak. And if you're missing shots because you're on neutral courts and you can't rebound, you might as well kiss your butt goodbye. So there is a lot of things that are talking me in and out of games. Let's do a little quick hodgepodge here. What game scratched my head is this TCU Ohio State. TCU's plus 2.5. The total is 146.5. I'm back and forth on this. I like Thornton over at Ohio State a lot, but I just feel like this TCU team is kind of catching a little heat themselves. Is this kind of like fake heat just to get into the tournament off the bubble, or is this real? 2.5. I'm going to wait to see if I get a 3, but it could go down to 2 and 1.5 too. So I don't know.
Speaking about a team that plays at the level of their competition, TCU falls into that category. They get beat by nobody, then knock off a monster. Now, Jamie Dixon gets his team focused. He can beat them. He can beat Ohio State's beatable. I have no love lost for Ohio State being a Nebraska fan. I don't think you do either as a Wisconsin Badger, but at day's end, this TCU team should be better in terms of win-loss record. Why Jamie Dixon can't get them all on the same page? I saw him play a game in the Big 12 tournament here in Kansas City, where I'm at right now. I'm not in Vegas right now. I'm in Kansas City. But they're a good basketball team. They can knock down shots. They get after the boards. They play good defense. They're fundamentally sound. I like them in that game.
Somebody just smashed Wisconsin up to 10.5 again now. So at FanDuel, I was kind of waiting. I was waiting for like a 9, but you get greedy and then you don't get it, and then I'm still thinking High Point could be the 5-12 upset that people will be throwing in their parlays. So we'll see what happens with that.
Of all the 5-12 matchups, that's probably the one that I circled. But Wisconsin came on here at the end. I like their coach. I thought they played well in the Big Ten tournament. They can knock down some shots. If they bring their A game, they should be able to handle High Point.
I think Wisconsin should be a 14-point favorite. So I'm gonna be on them. I'm just picky with the number. It's not going to get the 14. It's not going to get the 13. So I have
minus 13 on minus 13.5 on power ratings.
Yeah, Wisconsin has been on a tear. Since February 1st, Wisconsin on Bart Torvik ranks 9th in the nation since February 1st. So that is a massive statement right there.
Yep. They're a dangerous team. Anybody that plays Wisconsin, anybody that play, a lot of these top tier teams, Nebraska, Michigan State, Purdue, Illinois. If you don't bring your A game, they'll beat your ass. They're all well coached.
Santa Clara, Kentucky's fun. It's a game where I think, Santa Clara is going to have people showing up there.
Yep.
Kentucky I think people usually wait to the second round to root them. I mean, Kentucky's got a much bigger fan base, let's say, but I talked about this one a little bit earlier. It's going to be the first game of Friday. I think Clara's a little bit live there.
Yep. The 3 games I circled that I thought were live dogs, that would be, not David versus Goliath, but, St. Louis over Georgia, obviously. I had VCU over North Carolina, Santa Clara in that game as well, and South Florida. Those were the 4 that I had circled that I think getting it, and none of them are getting big points. I mean, odds makers have made it, it looks like it's going to be a good game. But those are 4 teams, I think, in round 1. If any of those won outright, I would not be surprised.
Absolutely.
It's not like if High Point beats your Badgers or Troy beats my Huskers, that would raise an eyebrow. The 4 I just mentioned, those 4 there, they wouldn't really raise an eyebrow.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. I think that's a great point. What about any of these big spreads? I took Houston and I talked about it yesterday because they're a bully. I laid 21.5. It's 23.5. Is there any of these monster spreads with these 1 seeds? Anything worth messing with for you?
Not really. I did put a little bit of money. I fade on Queens earlier in the week. I think I got him at 26 at one point. I just talked about that. Yeah, 20. Yeah, that one there. I also did put a little bit on High Point when they were up there. No problem. I don't have a problem laying it with Arizona against Long Island. They will just name the score, and Duke and Siena, who knows?
Sure. No disagreement there. What about
what was UConn's number over Furman?
21.5. It's 20.5 now.
I don't know if they can cover. Furman's feisty. I think Furman might give them not a complete ball game, but I think Furman will be hanging around 14 to 16 points at the end of the day.
Absolutely. This last game, Missouri-Miami's got me head scratching. It's almost at home for Missouri. It's 100 miles away to St. Louis. But this is at the Enterprise Center. If you're not betting unders in this Enterprise Center where the Missouri Valley tournament is played, then you're missing the boat here.
Every game in the first round of the Missouri Valley tournament at the Enterprise Center, I know because I drove down to it because I'm a huge Mo Valley guy. Every game in the first round went under.
Yep.
Every game.
No,
in the Mo Valley tournament.
Absolutely.
It's an expansive gym. There's so much room. It's almost like you're playing in the Carrier Dome for the Final Four, one of these huge arenas, and it throws you off. You'd be looking at unders in that bracket there.
Absolutely. You got to look at unders in that bracket. I agree. Let's see here. I didn't want to give away that secret, by the way. Well, after I bet it, it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
They're coming down, so you better get on it quick.
Sell a few picks for a living. I mean, shit.
I didn't say what numbers I got. What about here's an ugly, disgusting game for you. Iowa, Clemson plus 2.5, total 129.
Boy, I don't know that one there. I just don't know. I mean, Sturts, they couldn't get him going against Nebraska in that last game, and it really hurt them. If you can shut him down, they're problematic. Clemson knocked off North Carolina there in that ACC. That is the definition of a coin flip game. Definition. Maybe under. Might be real strategic.
Right. Yeah, maybe under. It's an interesting one for sure.
Just coin flip for me.
Yeah,
it's probably who's hitting. That's a game somebody's going to shoot 42% from the floor, and somebody's going to shoot 46 or 47% from the floor, and that's the team that's going to win. Because if you look at them, they're even across a lot of different stat categories and metrics that you look at. It's just hard.
They are. They're very equally matched. And in
I
Miami's a
think
little
that
hotter,
I would think that Iowa's a little bit more battle tested coming out of the Big Ten this year.
yeah, I was more battle tested. They have a better player, I would say.
Yeah, that's the only way I would lean. And by the way, I'm from Nebraska, and the only thing ever good to come out of Iowa was Interstate 80 West. So I'm not a huge Iowa fan.
There you go, my man. Some hidden meaning in that.
Sorry, making some enemies, I'm sure.
Do you have any round or conference props that you like?
The one prop, and honestly, I put down my final four in my bracket because I'm doing your show. I haven't even filled out all the games yet because I'm concentrating on point spreads day by day. And I don't try and get too far ahead of myself. But the one I did bet, one futures bet at plus 1,200 to make the Sweet 16. Talked about them on this show. Put my money where my mouth's at. South Florida to make the Sweet 16 plus 1,200. That was a beer banger bet.
That's your beer bet banger?
Yep.
All right, man. Well, that's not bad.
No.
That's huge. South Florida plus, what was the number again? Plus
you
one.
got to get. You're gonna, if you get there, you got to play UConn in the Sweet 16. If UConn advances through there, and they probably will.
Yeah, I'm sure that will happen. But man, that's not a bad little bet there because of the world.
You got to play Michigan State. I'm not so. Are you sold on Sparty this year?
No.
I'm not
at all. No,
I'm not.
No, not at all. I am not sold on them. Okay, I was like minus 1,300. That's the miss the Sweet 16. South Florida on FanDuel is plus 750 to make the Sweet 16. 7.5.
Okay, it was 1,200 when I bet it. I bet it on DraftKings earlier in the week.
That's a great number that you have right there, man. That is an awesome number. I'm going to see if that's still there here because I'm thinking about betting that one myself. 1,200 still at DraftKings. So I think I'll put a little sprinkle on that one as well. And, I'm not disagreeing with that with all of Louisville's woes right now. I'm also not a big Michigan State guy this year, to be honest with you.
I saw them play in Lincoln. We beat them 57-56, but, it was a hell of a game, up there in Lincoln. I believe I texted you from there that night too, by the way, when I was at the game, if I'm not mistaken, text you, but nonetheless, what I saw from them, I try to look at things objectively, even when I'm sitting at Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln, surrounded by, 20,000 of my closest friends. But at the end of the day, what I saw from Michigan State was not impressive. They got beat on the boards. They got a good guard. I'll give them, they got one good guard, but their depth is an issue too.
100%. That's a great prop. Let's move on to the next question. Who's in your final four and who cuts down the nets?
Well, I've got the final four. I've got is Duke and Houston on one side and Arizona and Iowa State on the other side. I'm going to say Arizona simply because I've said Arizona all year long.
I
thought they were the best team in basketball. I'll give Duke their due, but let me tell you something. The ACC was dog shit this year. Was Duke on top of the mountain by a mile? Yeah, they were. But they didn't look good, in the tournament. They got Boozer is an absolute rock star. I get it. He's going to be a lottery pick. I get all that, but I just think Arizona is a complete team as well, coach. I think they're going to cut them down.
Yeah, I'm with you because I have Arizona and Iowa State also on that bracket. So I'm totally with you on that one. On the other side, I have St. John's and Florida. So
you got St. John's knocking off Duke in the Elite Eight.
I sure do. I have St. John's. Actually, before the Elite Eight, St. John's would be in the Sweet 16. In the Elite Eight game, I got St. John's taking out UConn again. And so that's how I have it. So I'm very close to you, and I have Arizona, the most complete team, cutting down the nets.
You think Florida could beat Houston?
I think Florida can beat Houston in Houston because Houston has no great offense. I think Houston. I think the Houston team 2 years ago
is a stud, dude. Plus their putback points is unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. They are a relentless team. I struggled with this one. This is the one this is the one I struggled with the most. This is the Houston versus Florida, And if Houston makes it to the Final Four, I might be in a little trouble because I don't have a lot of brackets, there. I do about 8 to 10 brackets that, in bracket challenges that are paid, and I'll mess around with a few of them and throw Houston up there. I kind of like Illinois a little bit in that side too. So it's like, I can't get too committed here, but no, I mean, I got UConn versus Houston in one of them, and the one that I think UConn has a shot in, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Any beer bet bangers, my friend, any plus money bets or long shots in any sport or this sport?
The only one I put out there was South Florida plus the 1,200.
I like it. We'll count that.
There's just not. I don't think there's a lot of long shots in this tournament that are going to make it. I don't bet just for shit's sake. I'm just like, but I thought of looking at long shots. If you want a long shot bet, hang on. If you want a long shot bet, I don't know if anybody pays attention to Doc Sports YouTube page, but I do PGA picks. And I'm a huge golf guy. And if you want a long shot, do a top 10 finish at the Valspar Championship on Sahith Theegala, plus 310 this week.
All right, look at that. Sahith,
there you go.
Plus 310. That's a great beer bet banger. So it's 310 to 1, you mean? It's plus probably 35,000. Yeah, so I like that one. I'm going to go with Darius Peterson. I don't think Peterson necessarily is locked up for the number 1 pick in the NBA. I took Darius Acuff at 150 to 1. I think he can be the first pick of the NBA just because of how good he single-handedly won the SEC tournament. I mentioned that multiple times already. People are probably sick of it.
I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you brought this up because Peterson's a piece of shit. Peterson is the Kristaps Porzingis of college basketball. When the wind blows, he's hurt. But speaking of Acuff, notable freshman under John Calipari. Guards. Now, let me run through this. These are guards that played under John Calipari. All these were at Kentucky, but one was at Memphis. Tyrese Maxey, Anthony Davis, Gilgeous Alexander, Derrick Rose was at Memphis, John Wall, De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Jamal Murray. Under John Calipari, freshman guard, you know who leads all of them in scoring? Darius Acuff. Has better numbers than any of those guys I just named in college as a freshman. Yeah, he should be the number 1 pick in the draft, but I don't give a shit if he's only 6'3". He reminds me of a mini Allen Iverson.
Well, John Morant's only 6'3", and he was like, until he screwed up with all his head stuff, he was looking like the number 1 pick. I mean, that's a situation where very true to life there. Yeah, man. I like everything you're saying right there. It makes total sense to me. I think that Acuff at 150 to 1's a bargain, and I think it's just a wrong number, even if it doesn't happen. But that's like 150 years of it's like you just need one. You're not living 150 years, so you just need one to make it worth your while, right? Unless you're just one of those that sprays your bets on everything. But I like this one, and I think it hits. Tony, you're the best. Where could our listeners and viewers get your wonderful information and plays?
Well, you can go to YouTube, Doc Sports YouTube channel. Just type in Doc Sports there. And I've got videos up every day, including a PGA video every Wednesday with top 10s. And my best bets on those PGA videos this year in the golf season are unbeaten, and they're free. So be sure and check out the YouTube channel and all my plays over at DocSports.com. That's where you can find my daily packages for college basketball. We're on a nice little 18-7 run. And for everybody listening, I'll give you 15% off any daily package of college basketball for tuning into the Odds Breakers. Go to DocSports.com, click on my profile page there. It says daily college basketball packages. Type in the promo code Tony15, Tony15. You get 15% off any daily package. DocSports.com. Be there, be square, buddy.
All right. Make sure you guys listen to the man, Mr. Tony George. Thanks again for coming on, Tony. We'll be texting this weekend. Best of luck to your plays.
Thanks, bud.